welcome to Textiles and Tea with the Handweavers Guild of America. I'm Kathy Group. I'm the advertising manager, and I get to be your host today. We want to thank Syracuse Weavers Guild for being a sponsor of today's episode of Textiles and Tea. Thank you all again. We appreciate you all sponsoring this episode and hope you're all joining us. We will take questions, as always, at the last 15 minutes of the program. We appreciate your comments in the chat, but I can't see the questions in there. So please put your questions in the Q&A. I want to make sure I see all of them. Today, we have Laurie Carlson Steger. Laurie is a well-known weaver, and she has said she finds inspiration in atmospheric phenomenon like sound and lighting effects or ethereal cloud banks filled with spacious awe. And I think you'll see that when you look at her work. She studied at Worcester Center for Crafts in 1970s and the University of Massachusetts Dartmouth, earning a BFA in Textile Design and an MFA in Artisanry fibers. She explored weaving with fiber optic materials and consulted in the field of smart textile applications in the 1990s. She works on the 4-harness, 8-harness, small tapestry looms, and all the way up to a TC2. She taught textile science at the Boston area colleges. She's led workshops, lectures, weaving guilds, and textile organization. Laurie is the current dean of the Weavers Guild of Boston. She is a member of the South End Woven Studio in the SoWa, south of Washington Street, Artist District of Boston. Welcome, Laurie. It's good to have you here today.
All right. Ta-da.
There it is. There's that button.
Action.
Like that suspense, right? Make everybody wait. So how you doing today?
Good, good.
We're excited you're here.
Thank you. I'm really pleased to be here. Thank you to the Syracuse Weaving Guild. That was very nice of you to sponsor. I appreciate it.
They're a good bunch.
Yeah.
We're going to start with the really tough question. What is your favorite tea?
I made one special today.
Ooh, oh my goodness.
Let's have a party. I like an Arnold Palmer, which is tea with lemonade. This one is lemon zinger with lemonade and green tea. And then I have frozen raspberries and lemon wedges and an umbrella.
I want to hang out with you, girl.
Hula hula.
Well, share with us how you got started in fiber.
Oh, it's a long, long journey. I learned to weave at a really young age, of course. My parents had a business and they took making enamel on copper jewelry, and it was very overwhelming. And they took us on vacation to Maine, and I was about 8. We had 5 kids in the family, a travel trailer, and we were getting out of Dodge. And my mom wanted to take a weaving class. So my mother, my father, and my older brother all took on loom weaving, and I wasn't tall enough to touch the pedals. So I was on the floor with a rigid heddle.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I learned rigid heddle. I did lino, I made napkins, I made a long runner, and my mom was enthralled. She said, "Oh, let's go buy a loom." And we went up to Canada, picked up a loom, stuffed it in the travel trailer, and drove from Canada to Worcester, Massachusetts in one night with 5 kids in the station wagon, because you couldn't get into the travel trailer. You just had to push the loom in there. And then we had one with yarn, of course. But beyond that, as I got into my high school years, I went to an exhibition at the Decortiva Museum. I think that's in Lincoln, Massachusetts. And these were in the times of the very beginning, defining fiber and fiber art, and having that argument of, oh, is it weaving? Oh, is it art? Oh, what are we going to call it? It's fiber art. But in the 70s, it was still an argument of definition.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a piece on the floor. You know those large sisal ropes. It was black and it looked like something out of Kafka's Metamorphosis, like this giant caterpillar in black sisal. And I looked at this thing and I said, oh my God, I want to do that. So, and there were other things too that were just mesmerizing, these giant cocoon chairs out of white fuzz and feathers and wrapped, and you could sit in them, and they had a stereo system inside the cocoon, so you were building your own little environment. And they were all probably creations from local professors in art in the Boston area. But that image of that caterpillar on the ground in the middle of this white floor, oh my gosh. So yes, a little weird, but
Well, that might be the influence for my next questions, because you do a variety of kind of fiber weaving, types of weaving. So talk some about how you choose whether you're going to do this kind of weaving or that kind of weaving. Or
well, people go through cycles. This piece is actually kind of small. They're about 9 or 10 inches square.
Okay.
And they have swatches of woven pieces, and they're, it's a fabric collage. And the title of this piece is Flight to the Red Planet. So sometimes I have colors and swatches, and I don't know what I'm doing until I start laying them out and making a plan and arranging and rearranging them on the canvas. But it's about storytelling. So how are you going to tell a story around this beautiful canary feather, which somebody gave me while I was teaching a class of millinery? She came and she had a tropical bird, and she brought me a bag of these feathers to use in hats, but they're so beautiful. So the story of Flight of the Red Planet is about going to Mars.
That's
and
amazing.
You can see, the goal from on the left is the goal. There it is far away. Here in the center is the horizon. And finally on the right, you've landed. And now we have to deal with building a nest.
Oh, those are amazing. Well, you, those of you who were at Convergence saw Laurie's work. You had a piece in the Convergence Mixed Media exhibit, and it won first place. Congratulations.
So thrilling.
And you did this with
thrilling.
Norma Smeda, right?
That's right. That's right.
All right. So would you just tell us about this work?
So Norma and I have known each other through the Rhode Island Guild and the Weavers Guild of Boston for many years. Plus, we both went to the same university way back, and she lives locally, so I know of her weaving school. And then after the exhibition with the Boston Guild, we stood together in the exhibition space and said, we should do something together. And in a couple weeks, I called her up and I went to her house. We laid things out that she had collected, and we're trying to figure out how to put an exhibition of our work together. But in the meantime, we had ideas of what we could do to enhance each other's work, having conversations about what the ideas and the concepts were for her portion of this piece, which is called Gone with the Wind. It's the center area, looks like a ribbon waving in the wind, and that is done on the Angele fan reed technique. And she had been, of course, weaving a lot with the Angele reed, and I have my TC too. So this specifically was a piece that we sat together and tried to decide how our work would look together in a united piece. And so I wove the background of the tornado, and on the right side I have some surface stitching, which is similar in color to the stripes of blue in Norma's piece there. And it's about what happens when a fabric gets caught in a tornado and is, about to get torn off the wall and thrown, flying out the window. And that's what we chose. And it was a thrill to be accepted and then find out we had an award too. That was fabulous. Thank you so much.
Well, all of you who were there and saw it, as always, when you see something in person, it's just so much better. I mean, it's a great photograph, don't get me wrong, but I wish you all could have seen it because it was pretty impressive. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, kudos to a professional photographer. Make sure that they are, that they take your work seriously and you can show them what details to focus on for the best outcome of getting into an exhibition.
And being 3D, it makes it even more difficult to
Right.
really get the feel of what this is. So this isn't the first, I mean, the only piece you've done with Norma. We're going to show another piece that you two did together. And again, would you first talk about this work? I was fascinated by the detail. I love that detail. But then also talk some about the advantages and disadvantages of doing a collaboration.
So, we all sit by ourselves a lot as we weave. I have 3 rooms in my house that I'm wandering from one place to another, and it gets lonely. And you don't want to be on the phone all the time bothering other people who are trying to get work done, but they're lonely and would want to talk to you. But that day that I went over to Norma's house and we were going through her pieces, she pulled out this. There are actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 individual pieces on the left side. You can see 3 orange squares and 3 bluish rectangles. And those were individual pieces as a triptych. And they were very muted in general. So we talked a lot about our inspiration for life in general. We both had formal art backgrounds, training with the classics, and we both like Paul Klee as an artist. That's a master of so many things. So the lyricism of his line and the shapes and the quality of the work that he did, I could see that there is a possibility to build something here. So this piece has applique elements on it, and then there's needle stitching, needle weaving into the original woven piece. This is a crackle weave. I think the pattern was a snail's trail pattern done in crackle in a large scale. And I added stitching. We looked through other swatches that we've all woven over the years, and we put these pieces up on the wall and arranged them several times. We put felt in different areas to see if that's how we wanted the composition. And once we decided what we wanted, I either wove a new piece to use as an applique, or we used a piece that we found in the closet that, it's just a scrap from who knows how long ago. And I would just go home and start sewing and stitching, and I'd send her pictures to see what she reacted like. And then I'd drive with the whole piece to her house and we'd put it up on the wall and would make some adjustments and discussions, and she'd say, I like this or I don't like that. And it was just really a great piece to work on. It was done, I think this was done in 2022, early 2022. So it was kind of a post-COVID piece as well, in that you still were sitting at home a lot by yourself, Zooming with other people, and just being safe in your own little environment and being creative.
Well, that's amazing. So what are the advantages of, what's the advantages and disadvantage of trying to do a collaboration? I can see both, but what was your experience? And not just with Norma, but with anybody.
I really enjoy working with Norma. I think it takes a lot to build a relationship in collaboration that you can trust somebody to say what you really mean. You know,
Right,
I don't
right.
like that. Don't get offended. I don't like it like that. I like it like this. And she and I have that very just the facts, ma'am. You know, just just tell us what you want. You know, tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like. I'll fix it. We can try something else. It's not the end of the world. Let's see where we go. And sometimes you can get egos bruised if you're not careful and don't have that same kind of trust and relationship.
Yeah.
But I liken it to working musicians. You know, George Harrison was a major collaborator with a lot of musicians post Beatles. He he did that the concert for Bangladesh. He was the first one to gather all these musicians together to do something that really had an impact on the world. And now it's a template for future concerts like that, right? So collaborating can enrich your heart and your mind and make something that you would never have expected or would have done by yourself.
Well, it's good that you brought up musicians because that's going to lead us right into our next question, which is you wove a portrait of Stefan Grappelli in black and white, and then there's another one you use color.
Right.
Now, and I just want you to talk about this. This is so interesting. I'm sure there's a huge story with it.
There is. So when I was in grad school in the late 70s, I would weave and do intense things with the weaving program all day. But in the evening, I would go and listen to music.
Mm.
And, you know, Toulouse-Lautrec, Degas, all of these artists had drawing and pens and painting, and they translated performance in a visual. So in my mind back then, that's what I was doing. I was pretending I was like Degas, and I would go to these concerts and draw the musicians. And I have a lot of these drawings, a lot. And in those days, you could get up close to them because it wasn't the same as everyone was a superstar. You could just get right up close to them and talk to them after the concert, as famous as they were, and they would say encouraging things to you, or in case of like some of them were not as encouraging, and they would just, you know, very diva like. But Stefan Grappelli was this cute old guy, played jazz, gypsy jazz violin, and he was lovely. So the motion of the bow on the violin and his gesture on his face, I just captured it fairly well, but keeping in mind that these concert drawings were usually done in pitch black or dimmed lighting in a cramped quarter. So to turn out the light, I'd scribble away and not know what I had until we turn the lights on at the end. So some of them, to me, I just go, wow, what happened there? That kind of looks like that guy. So I did quite a few of them. And with this one in particular, it was the first image that I wove on a TC1 way back in '95 when I took that class when Vivica came to Montclair University. What's it called now? Montclair State College. She brought the components for the TC1 to Montclair, and I had an image, and that's what I translated. So I'm fond of this one because it was my first exercise in weaving on a TC loom.
Oh, really? Wow.
Mm-hmm. So I did it 4 times in, I've done it 5 times really in different colors.
Uh-huh. Well, that's what I was going to ask you about is that we have this great contrast of the black and white and the color. So why did you do that? I mean, why not stick to one or the other?
Well, you know, when you learn music, you learn to play the notes. They're all black and white. It's very schooled, right?
Hmm.
You're in a lesson, you're learning something. So the black and white kind of reminds me of doing the lessons. So now I've changed the color up, add a little yellow, add a little red on some of them, and suddenly you're learning the lesson, but you're playing the lesson, you're playing the music. And every time the color and the mood um, builds, it's like your own understanding of the musical score, the musical piece that you're playing, and you're not playing the lesson as written, you are playing from your heart again.
Mm.
And then, go crazy. Once you really know it, you can play jazz, right? so, so that's the story.
Oh, wow. Now, like you said, you did 5 different renditions of this portrait.
Yes.
Um, so you must be one of those people that just feels driven to explore something to the nth degree. So so that you can see
So,
all the possibilities of the work. So is that true? Is that a characteristic of you?
well, I think you're the first person to actually make me think about it. And 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 I didn't think it was true, but um, yes, it's true. I admit it. I get obsessed and I try one thing and I want to do it a little differently and um, explore the other options. Also with textiles, it's a whole history of having a design and then doing a colorway, right?
Hmm.
So if you're going to sell a palette and a colorway, some people want the pink and blue, some people want the green and yellow, and it looks different each time that it's represented in a different color palette. So that's also part of it.
Oh, okay. All right. Um, what are some of the biggest changes that you think have happened for you in designing since you started using a TC1, TC2? And I just saw someone's asking what a TC1, TC2 is. I'm sorry, I should have asked you that to begin with. Can you get a brief
Okay.
description of what that is?
All right.
I hate it when
So,
people use jargon and I don't know what it is, and I'm doing
right.
that. Sorry.
Okay. So a TC loom stands for a thread controller loom. It's uh, a jacquard loom. It operates a single thread at a time through um, a pneumatic pulse to lift and lower a heddle. So you can see there's swirly things that you can pick up a single thread to make these swirls happen. Um, and you can get a very clear rendering of a photograph if you like to do picture weaving in that way. Is that that's enough of an explanation, right?
No, that's great. I think that
Yeah,
and if there's more questions, they'll pop up, but
sure.
that'll get us going.
Right. So
How did that change your designing when you started using, or did it?
it did. Um, so I wanted a TC2 or TC loom since 1995, and it took a long time to get it. I was at the university, and we had one in the budget, and then there was a rotation in the department, and got slashed. But at the time in 1995, I wanted to do technical fabric that had electronics in it and the fiber optic sensing devices, and moving into a realm that currently we have explorations in that field, but you need a support team that is bigger than yourself. You need a tech crew, you need uh, possibly university backing for research and design, research and development. So once I didn't get it, then all right, the dream is gone for a little while. You do something else, and oh, so I did a lot of things that were collage-like, just to get complexity into the visual. Then when I finally did get my TC2, which I've had it since like 2016, the first thing that I felt was ultimate fear, because it was, it's a new big piece of equipment and it's in my garage attic and I'm by myself. So feeling like I didn't have this enough of a support team for when I'm working on it, which could be all kinds of hours. And I'm kind of like a little crybaby. It's like, it's broken right now and I want someone to help me fix it right now. So I had some trouble getting it going. And also the imagery that we learn right away is take a photograph of yourself and render it into, through Photoshop, and then you now have a photo of yourself or whoever done in a bitmap or something weavable. And I think coming up with a real subject matter other than my face or my portraits or my kids' portraits and things like that, I think that was something that was more difficult to master and answer than the weaving part of it, I guess. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So it's the subject matter, struggling with what do I really want to say with this wonderful piece of equipment that's artistic and has integrity as a fabric, and can push me in another direction, thinking to the next level.
Well, in this next image, we actually have a picture of the TC2. And what I love about this image is that above it is hand dyed with berries, right?
Right.
Berries
Season
hanging over this high-tech loom. And it's so, high-tech and low-tech together. So you must feel pretty comfortable going back and forth, right?
Well, yeah.
And how do you know what you need? How do you know when it's time for high tech and when it's time for low tech?
Some days your brain gets tired of doing one thing, and then like the high tech stuff, I need to warp it again right now. That's fine. But I mean, this picture of the warp with the blackberries is spurred mainly by the color of blackberry juice. And this is the season. I just was out in the yard today. I picked two big bowls of blackberries, but it's just the tip of the iceberg. I'm going to have to be picking blackberries for the next 3 weeks probably, and making jam and jelly and all those things. So this beautiful blackberry color, which all the books say doesn't stay purple, I didn't think I wanted to believe them, and it doesn't stay purple. But it looks purple now. So I was just, I just had to dye all this yarn purple just to begin with, and then it's faded to a really pretty soft lavender gray. And, but, I boiled that dye.
Do you do a lot of hand dyeing?
No, it's too messy for me. I really don't like being messy like that. I don't like, we have ProChem nearby, which is,
Oh yeah, you do. Right.
Yeah, we have ProChem nearby. And so I've been there with a few people, and I can be messy in someone else's space, but I have new tile in my laundry room and my sink, and I don't want to splatter. I don't want to cover my floors with plastic, and I'm not really good at picking up after the project, and that one is a big messy one. So, but I do have an indigo pot on the outside, so in the summertime I'll dip indigo.
Yep. So you're a dyer.
Yeah, a little.
This next image I love because we don't often get to see the works of our guests in their early stages. And usually we all kind of sit around and laugh about it and say, oh my gosh, just see how far you've come. But when I saw this, I was like, you were really good at the beginning. I love this piece. So
Thank you.
first I want you to talk about it some, but mostly I want you to answer what came to mind or what comes to mind when you see this piece now.
Well, see all that jagged edge? I didn't know about locking the tapestry yarns. I mean, I did this when I was like 12, 13, somewhere around there. And
Don't be critical.
I probably did. I probably pulled a picture from National Geographic or someplace like that. And I had some yarns in a box, one of those boxes that it's all tangled up and you really have to pull and work on it. So I was probably using yarn from a rat nest. And but toucans have really big beaks. And if you don't get the beak right, then it doesn't look like a toucan. But I know I've seen it. It's at my sister's house. I walked in and it was on the wall and I hadn't seen it in a long, long time. And it's a surprise.
I think I'm amazed how much talent you had, just natural talent at that stage. These are wonderful.
Well, we grew up working with our hands with my parents' business and learning color from my mom melting glass. So there were some things that kind of came along as we grew up. So this piece is cute. It's cute.
Well, we're going to shift directions here a little bit because like I had read in your bio, you're now the dean of the Boston Guild. So congratulations. That's
Thank you.
kind of a big deal.
Thank
And so talk some about why you would take on that responsibility.
Well, I was associate dean before I've become dean, and the way our guild is structured, you sort of lead into the role. And I've been to all these guild meetings, and you go as a member, but if you don't actually step into a role and take responsibility and work with other people, then you're just an outsider. So our guild members are lovely. They work really hard. As you know, we all are doing this for love mostly, and hopefully to improve and teach people about textiles. And it was time for me to be that person to help lead the pack, I guess. And I have a really nice associate dean, Sarah Salson, and a real good crew of past deans that I can call on for support. And I love these women. They have been very helpful and they do a great job.
I hope you're seeing all the love coming through there.
I am.
That's
It's like,
wonderful.
yay. I love you too.
Well, I like that. I never thought about that, but that's so true about coming from being an outsider to an insider. I've been the president of my guild a couple of times, and I've kind of stepped away. And when I go to a meeting, even though I've been a member of this guild forever, I do feel like an outsider because I'm not as involved. And that's an interesting way of putting it. I like that.
Yeah. So,
but you're a member of several guilds, right?
I am. I get roped into the program committee because I love to learn stuff about history and techniques, and I like to meet people. And it's part of like loving to travel. We go to all these museums around that have textile related things, and bringing that kind of discovery of talent to a group is really important and fun. So that's how I get roped in to begin with.
That sounds familiar. They're all like, Kathy, you do programs, you know everybody.
That's right.
And you probably do, Laura. You probably know tons of people in the fiber world.
Yep, I know a few people.
Well, I wanted to ask you also about the studio that you're part of. I want to call it the right thing.
South End Woven.
Yeah, talk to them about that.
Oh, so a few of the women at South End Woven have been have had studios, weaving studios in this building for a few years. And then there was an opportunity for a bigger space to open up, and they got together and decided that they would move in together in one space. So there are several looms in the space, and 5 of the weavers actually work and weave in the studio. But there's also a gallery space, so we have all kinds of things for sale, and there's a riot of color. It's really fun. And I have artwork on the walls, but then there's scarves and table runners and towels and mug rugs and all the kinds of things that you would expect. And we've got Mary Mandarino and Ginny Hamilton and Pat Vinter from my Boston Guild, and then a couple of our other weavers who I don't know, we just all have different styles, but it works together nicely. And we take turns showing up for sales, because there's open studios on like first Fridays and Sundays, and then a certain time during the week. So we just, I met them at the Boston Guild and shared a space when I went to Knoxville to Convergence, and then they invited me to join the space. So I did.
Now, is it a setup where you have to reserve time, or is it big enough that several people can be there at once?
No, it's a one big studio space. It's like walking into your big living room, and part of it is gallery space that's set up, and then the other part is kind of a little velvet rope across it so people don't touch the yarns on the looms and mess things up there. But I was there Sunday. Just, it's so fun to talk to people that come through. They're students from all over the world, and they're very interested in knowing about weaving. So you explain the processes, and so many people are just enthralled. So it's fun, really fun.
Well, someone's just posted your website, so they can go
thank
look
you. Thank you. It is very meager. It's like many websites. It's like always in construction. But this time for sure, I have to fix it. I have to add more stuff. Last year was
I also want to, we'll give a sneak peek here to everybody who's watching. Don't tell everybody, but you're going to be one of our tours at Spinning and Weaving Week, right?
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'll do a little shout out with South End Woven. We'll do some little thing so you can see that gang in action. And then my little, this room is really tiny. I think I can touch the walls if I go like that. I was going to keep it empty and just have it as my empty yoga room. Right now, it's more like a hamster cage. It's too much stuff. Don't look down. It's like knee high. So
yeah, that's why I have a screen. I have a screen.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So,
we're excited to do that, because we will have to. You're going to do a video of the South End, and then you're going to give an actual tour of your space. And for those of you who've never seen the tours, the studio tours, they're so much fun. It's just so neat to see where people create, and even little things like, oh, that's an interesting way to store your yarn. It's just great stuff like that. So I look forward to seeing that this fall.
Oh, don't get your hopes up.
You can even like rearrange things before that.
Just, oh, over here's yarn. Okay. There's some books here. There's some over there too.
I'm sure there's more to it than that.
It's kind of like
who's one of the big influencers on you? Who do you look up to? Who's been your inspiration?
Well, aside from my mother and father with the enameling, because she was that person that would take us out into the yard and say, put your fingers together like this. Look at all those red and yellow leaves. Look at all those color combinations. She was that person.
Aw.
Yeah, really nice, really cool, and had big ideas all the time. But I think Lenore Tawney is one of the weavers that I really enjoyed reading about. And I like Eleanor Roosevelt. Eleanor
Why?
Roosevelt is awesome. You know, she had Structo looms. She bought 5 Structo looms. Mm-hmm.
No. Oh, I
Yes,
like her already.
yes, I know. So during that period, when Structo was so popular in the 40s, she bought 5 looms. And you know, she had tea parties. You know that, right? She was very famous for her tea parties.
Oh, I love that. That
Yeah.
structural thing is pretty cool. I have to remember that.
Yeah. I want to find out what she wove and if she did it as classes or if she just got on the bandwagon, or maybe there were classes, weaving classes at the White
Yeah.
House.
And where are the looms today?
Right, I don't know.
Wouldn't that be cool to
This is
say,
a
I have
mystery.
Eleanor's loom?
This is a mystery for PBS to discover.
We're going to jump on that. Well, we have some questions. Shall we look at questions?
Sure.
All right. The first question is, what are the size of your pieces? And I should have been saying that all along. I apologize. But with a TC2, well, with any loom, right? You're limited to the size that the loom can do, right?
Well, the weaving width on my TC2 is like 29 inches.
Okay.
All right. But, you know, if you think in terms of a triptych, you can have a center at 29 inches. You put panels together and you stitch them together. Then you have 60 inches, 90 inches, whatever. So that's the size is usually at your discretion.
Somebody wants to know if they're related to you. Char Norman said her main name is Steiger, and she wants to know if you're related. She goes, if nothing else, we are related through weaving.
I don't know. Steger is my husband's name. So well, if you're a Kangas, Kangas or a Carlson, maybe directly related.
All right, we just went through those. Oh, this is from Michaela. Hi, Michaela. Do you feel that your background in a formal art program helped to prepare you to weave off the grid, so to speak, or is it just exploring the parameters of your loom?
Oh, no. The art background is paramount to why you can see beyond the structures of the loom. Absolutely.
I always thought that, because I went to art school too, I always felt like
Mhm.
there was a push in art school not to do just this, but do this and do this, do more, do
Yeah.
different, that
So
kind of thing.
emulating a style, like the piece like here in the back, there was a period of time where I was thinking about Rothko and looking a lot at Mark Rothko's work. So those color fields and textures and the way the color fields are not just flat, but they're really rich in tones. That's part of that. So yes, a formal art school background, even if you don't go to school, but look at the books and go to museums and, you know, gravitate towards something that fascinates you when you see it and learn more about it.
So
Yeah.
is that piece behind you fiber?
It is. It's a fiber collage and there is some paint. But there's stitching so that these strips are stitched on, and then there's woven pieces. It's also layered with like tulle so that you can get tonal qualities. And it's like a shading technique that you can use. Like that square right there in the white, that's actually a layer of red netting on top of the piece. And then there's another layer of netting, and then there's stitching, and then there's, you know, it's a real expression of how do I get this idea to pop, you know,
Uh-huh.
test out the techniques, see if we can make it happen, and see if there's some magic. I mean, I think I even used like the nets that the kiwis come in, and some of those fruit
right.
bags that are all netted, because it was the right color and you could stitch it down and you could weave through it. So
Yeah, somebody wanted to know if the weaving was from the TC2.
no, not at all. That was before I had it. And
Do you
so is the one
still
over there.
do you still have a regular floor loom, and do you still use it?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I just finished an 8-yard warp of towels and placemats yesterday.
I love it when really talented advanced weavers do towels and washcloths. I just love that. I love
You
that.
know, that's what, my sister needs a gift for her new house. So this is what she asked for. And I said, okay.
That's great. That's great. Um, well, I've got 3 questions about the piece behind the door. So there you go. Everybody wanted to hear about that.
Mhm.
This is from Jennifer Warren. What advice would you give to someone who wants to move beyond weaving as a hobby and start a fiber practice? Woo, big question.
Do it every day in
Mhm.
some form. Or if you are stuck in traffic, think about it. Think about
Oh,
what you're weaving. I know that there were many years where things prevented me from actually working physically with my hands on a piece of fabric. And it was in my imagination. I worked out a lot of ideas. Maybe I didn't get to make them, but I was thinking about weaving. Think about it. Think. Read a little bit. Think about it. And just start. You don't get anywhere unless you start.
there's almost like two avenues that you have to think about, is the creative avenue and then the nuts and bolts of it. And
Right.
we've had a lot of people talk about the nuts and bolts, but I don't think very many people talked about what you just talked about, is the getting more creative and doing that focusing.
Yeah, no, it's thinking. I mean, I know specifically there were some real dark moments in my life many years ago, and the only way that I could get myself through that time period was to step away in my brain and think about weaving and structures, and it was therapeutic to think in very concrete terms and not, and it just sort of, you know, was a way to meditate through a difficult situation.
Um, Patrice George wants to know, would you speak about your collaboration with optics and MIT researchers?
Oh,
Did you do that?
I did.
Okay.
I did, but so there's a few things. So because I had this work with optical fibers, and there are very specific properties to an optical fiber. You see those magic wands they sell at all the festivals. The light goes in, there's, the light twinkles out. But with engineering programs that are designing fabrics that have specific needs and are needing to get a specific outcome from a short run of a fiber optic, highly technical fiber optic strand, you have to do other kinds of weaving, I guess. And I did help with putting together a weaving lab for one of the MIT labs. And then, they were doing knitting, they were doing other things, and I can't really talk about it either. But they were trying to make swatches for testing for applications that would go, in many places that, you're not allowed to talk about.
But it's exciting. It's like you did get to do your
I did it. I did it. So
finally.
one place that was really exciting is, I mean, this was really fun. I had one project where I was given parameters of, we need you to weave this particular fabric in gold reflective, some kind of name that's about that long. I couldn't pronounce it. But we need to test out the reflectivity and the conductivity of this particular swatch and within millimeters of this and this. So you have to weave it very precisely. And then it also has to be collapsible and it can't catch on anything. And we're going to have to deploy it. And then there will be nobody in outer space for if anything goes wrong. So you have to do all this stuff to make sure that there's no snags and no disaster and no failure at, you know, $1 million a satellite, a couple $1 million a satellite. And then when the James Webb Telescope came out, because they didn't tell you what exactly they were working on. They, you know, it's like, if you can do this and this and this, great, do it for us and thank you very much. The James Webb Telescope came out and it had all of the parameters described that they had given me to weave this fabric, which was going to deploy and collect data across and become this solar collector thing. But it had all of the deployment and the shapes and the triangles of this umbrella antenna. I just like, oh my God, me. I was one little fingernail of help on the James Webb Telescope, maybe.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Good for you.
I don't know. It was more it's more fun to think that I really did than, you know, I don't want anybody to tell me, no, you were the other telescope and it's lost in space.
We all believe you, and that's it. So there you go.
That's it. That's it. Right. We're going to Mars. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I have one question that I think so good, and I never thought of it. This is from Margaret. And Margaret, I'm not even going to try to pronounce your last name. How do you know when to stop when you're doing collage? That is like a huge question.
Well, that is a good question. Don't put everything on securely until you make the final decision. That's a good one. Pin it up and look at it, go away, come back, and if it bothers you when you come back, take it down, go away, and then try it again. And if it, you know, you can make a determination somehow. That is a good one though. It's like you can get involved in like just the rhythm of working on something, like, oh, this is so much fun. I'm just gonna like stitch this all over the place. Don't do it. Right.
So what are you teaching next?
Well, I'm going to teach at News.
Oh,
I found out that'll be my next teaching endeavor.
explain to people what News is. They won't know.
New England Weaving Seminar. So it's our New England local guilds get together and have our own powwow of fiber fun. And I'm going to teach fiber optic weaving. It's like, okay, all right, I'll do it. So when I first started teaching it, I used to have to carry around a lighting box that was the size of, you know, a mini fridge. And it was really cumbersome. It was very hard to do it. But this time, there are devices that are on the market that you can purchase, and all the electronics is done. All of the potting and mounting is done. They're expensive, but this is going to be a 2-day workshop, and we're going to organize it in such a way that you're going to build a sculpture in 2 days using, you know, fiber optic materials, and we're going to learn how to do it. I'll teach
Will it
you
be
how to do
weaving?
it.
Like on a
Weaving
loom?
it. Yep, we'll weave it.
Oh,
Probably
okay.
either rigid heddle or a 4-harness loom is all you'll need. and I'm just starting to design how that might work. But I bought the stuff to test it out, and I'm convinced it will work. And then I'll do the half day illuminating fascinators.
Oh, those are so much fun.
They were fun.
They are
fun.
so
Done
much
it-
fun.
I've done it a couple times. I did it in London, and I taught in London and Long Beach and Providence and, you know, California. I've taught it a few times. Florida with Candy Bar Bag with down in Florida. And it's really fun. So you'll be able to sign up and make a hat, and then you can wear it. And millinery is an amazing piece of fashion, because once you put it on, you become a different person. It's, you know, the students have transformed. They smile. They're making things with big flowers or little flowers or veils, and it just becomes something. They found something inside that makes them happy. So
Yes.
that'll be fun. That'll be
Now,
fun.
when do you know when they open registration? People are asking about, can they attend?
I have no idea.
I don't either. We're
I have
looking
no idea.
for it's Northeast Weavers,
New England Weaving Seminar.
New England, not even
New England Weaving
Northeast.
Seminar. This one was, and it will be held at Westfield State College, State University. Westfield State University, out west of here. It's about 2 hours from where I live.
All right, it is July the 8th through the 13th next year.
Correct.
Thank you, Teresa. She put it on there for me. I appreciate it.
Oh, great.
So of all of you who are thinking about what am I going to do next summer, here's an option. Go see Laurie. Make a hat.
Come see me. We'll make some really fun stuff. I mean, the I will revive my technique. Oh, come into the closet with me where it's nice and dark, and we're gonna light up our stuff. And there was in Long Beach, I think I had a black tablecloth over one of the tables, and we were all under the table, under the black tablecloth, so that we could see how the fiber optics lit up.
In Long Beach, I
Yep.
was sitting there at the fashion show, and a whole line of these hats came in. I mean, everybody in the room just went, oh, it was so cool. It was so cool.
We came in strong.
You did. It was pretty amazing. Everybody was like, I want to take that class.
Yeah, that was fun. They were really good. There was one woman there who had no, do I have time to talk about this? I don't know how much time we have left.
If we get caught off, we get caught off.
Okay. This one woman, she was actually not a weaver. She was on a trip to distribute her husband's ashes, and she had such grief. And she took my class, and we started building this hat. And when she put this hat on, her face transformed.
Aww.
I remember it like, you know, those moments that you will always remember. I was just so overwhelmed by
Good for you,
how it
Laurie.
transformed her.
Good for you.
Yeah,
That's
it
wonderful.
was really cool.
Oh, look at all these hearts. I love it.
Oh, yeah, I get weepy.
I know.
I get weepy.
Well, we do have to stop.
Okay. Well,
On that
thank you.
note, I hope whoever she is hearing this, you know,
maybe
that her
I think of her.
her participation made an impact. I hope she
Yep.
hears that. That would be great.
I
would
think
be
of her often.
All right. So thank you so much, Laurie. We appreciate you being on.
Thank you.
This was such
Thank you.
a nice conversation
I had a
with
good
you. I do
time.
appreciate it. A lot of people are
Good
talking about
time.
how wonderful it was today and how much they admire you and
Oh,
your work.
thank
So
you.
kudos to you. Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much.
And I do want to thank our sponsor. What a great episode to be the sponsor. I do appreciate Syracuse Weavers Guild for being a sponsor. This isn't their first. I hope it won't be your last. Thank you so much. And if you're interested in sponsoring an episode, either your guild, your business, a group of you want to get together, please go to our website at weavespindye.org and you can sign up to sponsor an episode or give me a call and we'll work out something. So thank you again, Syracuse. We do appreciate it. We've got Spinning and Weaving Week. Speaking of Spinning and Weaving Week, it's in October and it's not that far away. So if you want to get involved, it is a week long of virtual classes, and there's art sparks, there's interviews, there's the tours that we were talking about, there's Marketplace Live, there's a fashion show, there's all kinds of things. It's a great deal. It's $25 for the whole week, except for the art sparks. You have to pay a little more for that. And you can watch it for 90 days. So for those of us who work, you know, we can't do that, but we can watch it on our own time, and that's wonderful. If you're a teacher and you might be interested in having a class, one of the Art Sparks class, go online and sign up. If you have questions, give us a call. Oh, I lied. It's $30. It's not 25. I lied. I'm sorry. If you want to be a sponsor, we have sponsorships available. If you want to be a vendor, we have opportunities for our vendors to come and share their products. You know, all those people that you saw at Convergence, or you didn't get to see at Convergence, you can see them at Spinning and Weaving Week. So go to our website at weavespindye.org, look for the tab that's got Spinning and Weaving Week, and you can learn so much more. But it's time to sign up if you want to be a teacher, you want to be a sponsor, you want to be a vendor. So we hope we'll hear from you soon. And again, that's October the 7th through the 13th. It is Spinning and Weaving Week. We want to thank everybody who supported our programs by being a vendor, by donating or being a member. We appreciate that. Your money goes toward these programs, whether it's Spinning and Weaving Week, Careers in Textiles, and it also gives us the opportunity to look for what else do we need to do? What's another area that we can offer our memberships more by being a member of HGA? So we thank you for your donations. We hope you'll join weavespindye.org. If you've missed any episodes, you can watch them later. You can watch them on the HGA Facebook page, or you can watch them on YouTube. And if you do like watching them on YouTube, I encourage you to subscribe, because when one is uploaded, you'll get a notice and you can go watch it. You can watch them any times as you want. You can watch them anytime you want. So I encourage you to go check those out. Next week, we have Megan Smith, another interesting weaver. I think you'll enjoy seeing her work. Hope you all have a wonderful week, and happy tea.